Canadian provincial immigration program? Not really. Am I having a bad hair day? Maybe. Are you tired of all these points-based systems? Express entry points, PNP points, credit card points, points everywhere, and half of them are useless. Today, we're covering why the Manitoba Provincial Program is one of our favorite PNPs since they have some point-free programs. I was originally going to say pointless, but that won't really make sense since these programs make the difference between you and your family moving to Canada and obtaining your PR or not. So definitely not pointless, but point-free. The raw truth and nothing but the truth. So help me, the new Federal Minister of Immigration, Mr. Mark Miller. Quick introduction, everyone. I'm Reza from Ingwe, Canada, licensed immigration practitioner, and our office specializes in helping businesses, people, and families move across borders. Is this what I do for a living? Of course not. I'm not an actual full-time YouTuber, but some of you may think so. I work hands-on with our license team, working on actual applications and communicating with immigration departments and overseas embassies on a daily basis on behalf of our clients. Why are we posting these videos or doing this live stream? These are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on immigration knowledge with our worldwide audience. And if you're thinking about immigrating, we're here to help. Get a free email assessment for eligible applicants by filling out the form below in this video, or reach out to us directly if you're an active immigration practitioner looking to collaborate. Before we start this live stream, we would like to send a special welcome message to the Honorable Mark Miller, who is the new Minister of Immigration. Dear Minister, we hope you won't make empty promises and don't promise us to save the world. All we ask you to do is to process the backlog of PR applicants, study permits, work permits, and visitor visa applications who are stuck in the IRCC queue since COVID. That's all we ask, and we hope you'll stick around until 2025. As everyone should know, the new Minister of Immigration was recently in charge of the Crown Indigenous Relations in Parliament before moving to the new immigration role. He's a Liberal from the province of Quebec, which is the home province of Justin Trudeau as well. Time will tell if anything will change, or we should raise our hopes or lower our hopes in terms of Canadian immigration. As everyone should know now, we're going to jump into the Manitoba system, the point-free PNP for skilled immigrants, and one of our shortest and best provincial investor programs in Canada, which is the purpose of this live stream today. We're covering the top 3 programs that can lead to Canadian permanent residency in this beautiful province. These are the 3 programs we're covering today. The skilled worker in Manitoba, which requires no points, SWM as they call it in terms of their abbreviations. The international education stream, allowing international students from the province to convert to PR. Again, no points. And finally, the entrepreneur program, which has the shortest timeline to PR out of any province in the country by starting your own business or purchasing one in this province. Although it is points-based system, there's a lot of discretion allowed by the officers who want to select potential applicants. Let's start with the skilled worker in Manitoba stream, which invites applicants for PR nomination who are already working for a local employer in Manitoba and can prove that their intention is to really settle there and have enough settlement funds to support themselves and become economically established. Here's the minimum requirements and the key highlights you should know about this really interesting program, which I believe is underrated, undervalued, and not enough people seeking this kind of program going to Manitoba. You need ongoing, continuous 6-month employment inside Manitoba with a valid work permit. It could be an LMIA work permit or an LMI exempt work permit based on specific bilateral agreements for specific occupations. you need a permanent job offer from this employer. If you're a postgraduate work permit holder from another province, you need to be working for that employer in Manitoba for minimum 12 months before being eligible for this program. If you studied inside Manitoba for at least 1 year academic program in a publicly funded designated learning institution, then you need to have worked for the employer only 6 months to be exempt for the points-based system under the skilled worker program. You do need a language exam score of Canadian Language Benchmark 5, either in English or French, to qualify for this stream. And obviously, you would be working for your employer, so you would have time to get that CLB 5. The key advantages of this program, there's 0 points, and your job offer and occupation are not required to be in the provincial in-demand occupation list. So you may ask, how am I going to be working for an employer in the province if I don't have a work permit yet? Well, it's simple. You either have studied in the province as an international student in an eligible program, an institution, or you can come over on an LMI work permit or LMI exempt work permit. Obtaining an LMI is easy for employers in Canada, at least now. And if you enter the province with the work permit, work for the employer for 6 months continuously for at least 30 hours a week, you can submit your profile online through the Manitoba PNP portal, and you can be invited in 2 to 4 months for PR. This is probably one of the best programs out there for that is underrated by lawyers, immigration agents, and consultants, and not promoted enough. Okay, so this is why it's our number 1 in terms of the top 3 Manitoba programs. And the beauty of it is that it's not occupation specific. So literally, you could be in any occupation working with an LMIA. You could be a cook. You could be an administrative assistant. You could be anything. And as long as you meet these minimum eligibility criteria and you show that you have ties to the province, such as employment, and you don't have immediate family members outside of the province, unless you have a good excuse why you want to settle in Manitoba with the rest of your family, then you could be invited for PR. Let's look at the second program. The international education stream for students who have graduated from an eligible designated learning institution in Manitoba and would like to avoid a points-based system as well and have no prior work experience. But related studies have been completed in the province. Here are the key eligibility criteria to get started in this stream called Career Employment Pathway, and why it's a very easy and positive program for international students looking for relatively straightforward PR program, right? Unlike Ontario or some of the other provinces who are not so friendly with international students who are trying to claim their PR. You need a 1-year academic program to have completed, right? At a DLI in Manitoba. You need a CLB 7. So unlike the skilled worker stream, the language requirement is the same for all occupations if you're applying under this international student stream, career employment pathway. So you need a CLB 7, which could be a IELTS 6.0 in each band or the equivalent in the French exams, right? A full-time job offer of minimum 1 year in Manitoba, but it has to be in the in-demand occupations listed, okay? And your studies should be related to the occupation where you have this job offer. If you're a francophone, meaning a French-speaking applicant who can achieve CLB 7 in a French language score, you are exempt from being in the in-demand occupation list. So you could be within any occupation if you're a francophone. If you're only English speaking, you need to make sure your studies align with the in-demand occupations, right? And you have a CLB 7. That's it. The occupations should be in the NOC or tier level 0, 1, or 2, 0, 1, 2, or 3. And there's approximately 160 occupations in the in-demand list for Manitoba. And so if you're a potential international student now or in the future planning to convert to PR by working 6 months for the employer and skipping the points-based ranking system, these are the occupations that most likely make you eligible, whether it's in business, administration, such as an administrative assistant, logistics or supply chain, IT roles, engineering roles, architects, inspectors, a whole bunch of health occupations from technicians to nutritionists to other healthcare professionals, and social workers, early childhood educators, other art, cultural, and recreational occupations as well. There's one occupation for everyone. Okay, there's over 160 listed, and I can definitely say that it's one of the largest or most extensive in-demand occupation lists out there for any province, more than BC, more than Ontario, more than the Atlantic provinces. And if you're wondering why this program is better than Saskatchewan, it's because there's no points required to be invited for PR after you meet the minimum eligibility criteria we covered in this video. This is probably one of the best international student programs out there, alongside Saskatchewan and Nova Scotia. These three provinces really outdid themselves by providing a very easy and flexible and, let's say, user-friendly path to Canadian PR for international students. And of course, this is the time we have to basically announce the provinces and the governments that are not so flexible or are not so supportive of international students looking to come to Canada and to convert to PR. Shame on you, Ontario PNP, for not creating an easier program. Shame on you, IRCC, for not helping international students, over 700,000 of them inside the country, to convert to PR like Manitoba is offering, except offering express entry routes with very high scores. Shame on you all. Remember that we're always posting about provincial and federal immigration program key details. And if that's what you're interested in, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel for more deep dive videos. Last but not least is the Manitoba Entrepreneur Stream that we're covering in our top 3 programs today. As you all may know or may not know yet, and we've covered this before, it has one of the shortest timelines to Canadian PR nomination out of any province for business immigration. We've covered this program before, but here's a quick refresher for the audience members who have not come across the videos we've already posted on this topic. The key highlights of this program and points to consider are this for business owners or managers seeking to come to Canada as investors or entrepreneurs and applying for their PR. If you can invest outside of the Winnipeg metropolitan area, you only need $150,000 as minimum investment, which is one of the lowest in Canada, except Alberta and BC's regional programs. In the Winnipeg region, which is the biggest city, you need at least a $250,000 investment because there's more competition and higher costs and more difficult to create significant benefits. So you need higher figures. No matter how much you invest or where you invest in, you need a minimum net worth of $500,000 across all your assets anywhere in the world, which will be audited by a third-party designated auditing firm which has been listed on the Manitoba PNP website. Education, you only need a high school degree, no post-secondary requirement. Language requirement is a CLB 5, right? So this is mandatory before you apply. This is a disadvantage compared to Ontario program, but it's not a very high score for serious entrepreneurs. You need a 3-year minimum management or business experience in the last 5 years before you apply, unlike other provinces, which sometimes only require 2 years of management experience or business ownership experience. Manitoba requires 3. After being invited to apply, you get the interview and you get the work permit, you apply for it. You can run the business for 6 months in Manitoba before completing your business performance agreement and requesting a nomination. So you apply to the province, and within 6 months afterwards, they will process your final PR nomination certificate, which will be issued approximately 4 months later. And you can apply for your family's PR while you're in the province. So literally, you only need to run the business 6 months. Okay. Every other province, minimum 12 months, some 18, some 20, but the bare minimum is 12. Manitoba is the only province that is right now keeping it at 6 months. So run the business for 6 months and then go for your PR, which is great news. Keep in mind that an exploratory trip can help boost your profile if you have existing family ties to the province. Unfortunately, it is a points-based system for entrepreneur programs in Manitoba, but a lot of discretion is used by PNP officers to invite people who have more ties to the province, who know that most likely they will settle here and not leave. As one of the shortest timelines to Canadian PR, it's one of our top 3 programs in Manitoba. And of course, if you like immigration hacks, creative immigration solutions, or key analysis of immigration policies and updates, then you can click on the subscribe button for our YouTube channel. Or if you're tired of everyone's monotone immigration YouTube videos, I want to have a quick laugh here with us. We're always here to entertain you in the immigration world, of course. And of course, if you're thinking about immigrating, whether permanently or temporarily, you are at the right place. I can guarantee only one point. You will know what to expect, the entire process clearly laid out for you, and all the risks identified, including costs. Our legal agreements are based on payment milestones, which are directly linked to your application progression. And we don't take 100% advance payment for business immigration cases. We have a $1 million liability insurance, which protects you and us from fraud or mistakes, as well as a dedicated client trust account with our Canadian banking institutions. Our team speaks over 9 languages, and we help applicants from over 49 different countries during their immigration process. Click the link below this video and get a free email assessment for eligible applicants only. And if you're ready to apply and you want to book a one-on-one session with me or one of my immigration team members at Inway, you can also book a session directly using the consultation link in the description of this video. And if you have questions, you want to take us for a test drive, remember, we're here weekly live on YouTube every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And that's where we answer all of your questions for free on the spot. And yes, we are in our live session, and we will be going and answering and responding to all the comments and questions our audience members have on our YouTube channel. Bhupinder, it's good to see you. Hi, Reza. Good morning. Good morning to you, or good evening to you, Bhupinder, depending on where you are, whether it's Canada or India. Good to see you. We've missed you for the last few sessions, but great to see you back. Rosita says, hi, Reza June. Good luck. Thank you. Abdul Rahman Salat. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum assalam. Finally, Sosa. Hi, Reza. Good morning. Finally, Sosa. Good. You're becoming a frequent fan. I like to see that. Thanks for joining us. And yes, today I am wearing a cap in light of the new immigration minister. I thought, hey, let's give another look today compared to all my other days where I have the formal gear, right? And this is the emblem for the parliament, the Canadian federal parliament, by the way, folks. And that's the theme of today, right? Manitoba PNP, top 3 programs for PR. And yes, we have a new immigration minister. Should you care? Should you be worried? Should you be happy? Nobody knows. But could we be disappointed in a year or two? Probably yes. Anas Shahata. Assalamu alaikum, sir. I hope I have submitted my upfront medical for all family for PNP in October 2022. Now I'm asked to redo medical for only my child. Is it normal? I did not receive from me and my spouse. Anas, usually they do that if there's something that's not clear in the original medical exam that was uploaded by for the file. So if there's something that they're suspicious about on the medical condition of your child, or there was something not clear, they may request a redo. And that seems to be the case. Bhupinder, thanks for your email. Yes, I was a little bit busy as it's time for filling income tax return. Yes, Bhupinder, you're right. Income tax, those days, oh my God, it's horrific. I even dread those days where we have to get all the numbers together, the financials, the filings, the expenses, the revenues, the profits, right? I was in Winnipeg from June 25 to July, so missed your live. Okay. I hope Winnipeg was good, Bhupinder. June 25th to July. I bought a condo for my daughter. That's perfect. Congratulations. That is excellent. You're helping your daughter sell in Manitoba. Yeah, she doesn't have to waste money on rent. and you have a permanent place to stay whenever you're coming back. So I hope it was a good trip, Bhupinder. It was obviously summertime, so probably the best time. I was there too, right? I think I was there end of May. As I told you, I was there end of May. Beautiful, beautiful city, very friendly people. And if anyone lives in Toronto or Vancouver, you will understand what I mean by friendly people, because there's not a lot in the big cities that you can find on the streets for people who you don't know. In places like Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Atlantic provinces, people walk on the street and they're just nice to each other, which is probably one of the key advantages for newcomers when they're moving to these new locations across Canada. So basically today, folks, we covered the Manitoba PNP top 3 programs in Manitoba that we recommend for clients. And Bhupinder says, I like Winnipeg very much. And I agree with you, Bhupinder. When I was there this May, it was excellent. I really enjoyed my time. I really enjoyed the vibe of the town and the people. So positive, so friendly and outgoing. And that happens with many provinces that are not the big provinces, or even if you go into the rural towns. Anas Sheta says, the medical exam appears completed for all members in the status tracker. Our medical will expire after months because they mention at this stage of your application, you have to do the medical. If it's just for one of you, then it may be that the officer suspects something on the original medical report for a child. If it's for all of you, then it could be that, as you said, it could be that it's expired, but typically it shouldn't. And it depends on where you are. If you're inside Canada or outside. If you're inside, technically, you can be exempt if you've done it in the last 5 years. If you're outside, it's different. If they're just asking for your child, then it could be that the officer wants some clarity on specific points in the medical report or the exam that was first conducted back in October last year. Abdul Rahman says, how much time does it take a person to obtain an Ontario health card if the person is holding an LMI work permit and person is inside Canada? Usually you apply at the Service Ontario and you should get it in very quickly. They'll give you a temporary number and then you'll get your card within, I don't know what the new timelines are, but usually around 4 to 6 weeks you should have it. Mehvish, Assalamu alaikum Reza. Started watching your videos a few days back. You're doing a great job. Alaikum assalam, Mehvish. Thank you for joining us. Yes, hopefully it's useful. And we try to cover different topics, provincial, federal. Obviously, we have a lot of content on startup visa, business immigration, investment immigration, and sometimes even non-Canadian immigration. That's what we cover. And we're here, folks, for you. Every Thursday, 11 a.m., North America Eastern Standard Time, which is local time in Toronto, New York, Montreal, Ottawa, Miami, Detroit, right? So you can tune in, ask your question, get clarity on it or guidance. And sometimes you may think, hey, I need to double check something. My consultant or lawyer told me this. Is this genuine or not? Or the agent that's doing your work. You can always tune in, and we've dedicated this time for our audience. Every week, Thursdays, 11 a.m., YouTube only, exclusive to our YouTube channel. Safa Saleh, good to see you, Safa. Hi, Reza, how are you doing? I have a general question. Can we go parallelly with 2 programs without conflicting them? For example, while waiting for the work permit or PR for SCV to make fallback plan. Okay. Safa, in terms of the startup visa, if you're the main applicant and you're applying for another PR program, you have to withdraw one as soon as you apply for the other one. Okay? They will withdraw for you as well, potentially. But again, if it's a provincial nominee program, then you should withdraw before you apply for that. If you're doing a federal program, then if you apply, the IRCC will automatically withdraw you from one. So you cannot have 2 concurrent PR applications. For work permits, the same thing, right? Yes, it's a good idea to have a fallback plan, right? Maybe for your spouse, maybe for yourself. But then keep in mind that if you're an essential member of your startup, and then suddenly the other PR program goes faster and they withdraw you, they will automatically refuse all your co-founders who are essential if you have other co-founders, because I don't know about your group. So keep that in mind. Having a plan B for startup visa is critical, but make sure you do all your calculations and planning in advance. Bhupinder says, after the new minister, what's your expectations? Very right now, folks, if anyone does any forecast on what this um, new minister will do for immigration, I think it's premature. He is from a Quebec province. It could be that he will promote more francophone programs, and that's one of the key priorities for IRCC where they've been lacking. They haven't been able to promote and attract more francophones from across the world to immigrate to Canada. So putting a French-speaking, a francophone, let's say, a minister of immigration is significant. It's symbolic. But what it will do for business immigration, startup visa, backlogs of study permits and PRs, I don't think there'll be much. I think he's just going to go into cruise control, follow the reports and internal guidelines that IRCC is planning to roll out, like changing eligibility for PGWP, making more flexibility, creating programs for international students to help convert them to PR, and obviously all the upcoming startup visa changes. So the key is that they're going to follow the blueprint that they already have or the game plan, and maybe focus a little bit more on francophone immigration. These are just estimates and assumptions. We won't know, but just to let everyone know, don't expect miracles or major changes in Canadian immigration just because the minister changed. And will he last till 2025? Hopefully so. And remember, folks, this immigration minister job is an interim pathway in somebody's political career. Nobody wants to end up as an immigration minister for a longer period of time. And it's always like a stepping stone to something higher. So they have to do this before they get a better position, right? So that's what you see all the time, all these changes every couple of years. That's very normal for this position. Finally, Sosa, hi Reza, does the Atlantic immigration program require work experience to, let's say when I have graduated as an international graduate from the province to get through to this program? Finally, Sosa, I know that Atlantic immigration allows your work experience as a student to count. So you do need work experience, but as a student in the Atlantic, if you graduated in the Atlantic and you're in the Atlantic working in that occupation, that will count towards your eligibility under the international graduate stream in the Atlantic province, right? So that's the advantage there. That's the work experience you can accumulate. Abdul Rahman says, what do you think of changes in immigration departments? Is it fine or former minister is great? I think the former minister was good looking. He was tall. He was like a basketball player. I don't know how friendly this guy is, Mark Miller. He was, just to let you know, he was in the interparliamentary committee for NAFTA. I think was it NATO or NAFTA? But you can look up his history. He was on several committees, interparliamentary committees, and recently he's been taking the role of the Indigenous relations, basically between the Parliament, the federal government, and Indigenous groups here in Canada. So he's been doing that for the last little while. He's very experienced, obviously a francophone from Quebec, a liberal, obviously. We'll see. I'm not too optimistic for everyone else who's not a francophone. If you're a francophone, I think this is good news. If you're not, I think just hold on, folks. Don't be too optimistic. Things are just going to be an autopilot for a while, except the program changes that IRCC has already planned internally and is working on them, because they have a game plan. It's kind of like Steve Jobs and that gentleman, what I forgot his name, Cook, the CEO of Apple. They know what like version iPhone 20 will be in the future, and they're just trickling out all these releases, right? They have a game plan. They have a roadmap for the next 10 years. Same with IRCC, at least for the next 2-3 years, they have a roadmap of what they want to change, what they want to improve, what they want to roll out, what they don't want to do, and what is a priority and what isn't. And that's why they're creating that internal report that hasn't been released yet. They're planning to release it later this year in the fall on their immigration priorities and what they're planning to do. So that's going to be something to look forward to. I think that's more important than the minister. The minister comes and goes. The people in the IRCC, they stay, typically, right? So those key directors and program managers and senior officers, they're the ones that stay. And the reports that are created internally or those strategies stick around. The minister only has so much sway depending on what's going on, right? They can always release temporary public policies, but the long-term strategies are always with the core team, those senior program directors, and the minister signs off and just kind of listens in. You know, it's kind of like the CEO of a very large corporation. Are they going to be aware of every single detail? No, they want to know what their profit is, what their loss is, what the next merger acquisition is. In IRCC terms, that just means how many people have we converted to PR? How many people are stuck in Canada? What's our backlog? What's our budget? How can we expand our processing? How much money do we have to do that? And what are some key strategic priority programs that we have in the pipeline? And where are they in terms of milestones and project management? That's what the minister looks at, not the details. Mehri says, I've applied for a visitor visa with my family 46 days back, but still no reply from the RCC. When and how should I contact the RCC as they don't have any emails? From where did you apply, Mehri? Please let us know. Bhupinder, nowadays everyone is saying Canada is facing labor shortages. On the other hand, many students are not able to get a job. What's the expected position as per your knowledge? Bhupinder, that is an excellent point because there's a lot of people who are saying there's contradictory information about Canadian immigration, Canadian labor market, what the government wants, and what the economy really wants. It's tough. Finding a job is not easy. If you're in the rural regions, it's easier. If you're in the big cities, there's more competition. Employers in certain industries are laying off, so the market is pretty soft. In certain industries, it's tight. So if hospitality is tight. But again, Bhupinder, the key question is, certain students in certain regions, cities, provinces want specific occupations that will help their express entry profile or their PNP profile to gain PR. Maybe some of those occupations that are available for them are not going to help them for PR, right? And maybe in the cities, there's more people applying. So if you put an advertisement for a position, an office job in Toronto, you will have few hundred applications. And I'm not kidding, okay? So it makes it more competitive, right? Imagine you're an international student. I would say doing internship programs for international students is a key factor. I would say there's 3 areas, 3 key points to consider if you come to Canada or you're planning to as an international student. So you have a higher chance of success to land a job and potentially apply for PR. 1, go to an international student-friendly province. As I said, shame on you, Ontario, for being one of the most difficult provinces to convert international students to PR, although you have the most post-secondary institutions in the province. Shame on you, Ontario. Shame on you, IRCC, for keeping the express entry so difficult and not announcing or releasing a path to PR for international students. So that's the first rule of thumb, folks. You're coming in, you should be going to Manitoba, Saskatchewan, or the Atlantic provinces. Sentence finished. That's it. Okay. Second point, look at in-demand occupations. So reverse engineer the immigration programs to PR, see what the requirements are, study to get into those programs, and make sure you study an internship program. So you've got a co-op section, because if you do a co-op or an internship, you have a 5 times higher chance of gaining a job after you graduate. And folks, I just made that statistic up. I don't know if it's 5 times more, but I know for a fact it helps, right? Just common sense. So that's our position, Bhupinder, but that's a very good point. I've heard from international students who are saying, and especially like people who study at higher levels. If you study at a PhD level, you're not going to get a job. Okay, you're going to stay in the academic world. They know, we know, the whole world knows. So you got to go to a province that has a graduate level PR path. Okay, a lot of them do. Newfoundland, Ontario, BC, Manitoba, a lot of them do. Some don't. Okay, if you do a master's, you better plan ahead to make sure what occupation you're going to go to, how you will convert. And 3 provinces have a direct path for master's students. Keep that in mind. If you're looking at what jobs to do, remember, hospitality is always in demand, but certain provinces will make it literally impossible, like Ontario, to convert, okay? Or BC. Not impossible, but very, very difficult. And look at trades. Those are always good, okay? Look at other in-demand occupations that are there for that region or province. So I hope that's given you some insight. Mehvish says, I applied from Pakistan online through IRC. Processing time shows 45 days. Mehvish, wait for 50 days. Communicate through a web form. And you can also communicate through an email. You can search for the email of the embassy for their immigration department online. I'm sure you can find it. Nashvan Ali. Hi, Reza. Can a high school international student graduated recently in Canada and apply for a study permit to study at the university, start studying at the university in September before the new study permit? Interesting. A very interesting question. We have to know, has the previous study permit expired or not? And technically on that study permit, on the previous one, it says that it's for secondary school or high school. When you apply and you're on maintained status to renew your study permit, okay, so what happens is that your previous status is on maintained status, not on the new status. Technically, no. Okay, you cannot start studying until the new study permit comes in. Technically, but I'm pretty sure 90% of people just start studying anyways. Okay, so that is a great question, Nashwan. Technically, no, because it's a different level of education. So I like to clarify this. If you're in college or university and you started a new program, like you did a 2-year, you're doing another 2-year, you did a 1-year, you're doing another, you can continue to study. Okay, but because you're moving from high school to university, it's officially, according to the regulations, no, you cannot. But I'm pretty sure 99% of people just end up studying anyways. It is what it is. Mehvish says, does it mean they're going to refuse me for my visitor visa since it's past 45 days? No, it doesn't mean anything. It's just they're slower to respond or process. You need to start following up, let's say 5 days past that time limit that's been updated on the website. Abdul Rahman says, the labor shortage in Canada is just a hype created by the employers. How we made an LMI and work permit as a business or way of earning money. Yeah, Abdul, I agree with you that there's a lot of, there's a dark side to the employment market, and it is a little bit hyped up, especially in IT. Sometimes I see that IT, there's a lot of applicants, but they're saying there's an IT shortage, and they just let 10,000 H-1B visa holders apply for open work permit, which is good, right? But obviously the competition will get higher in the market, in the labor market. Nashwan, his current study permit is valid until 30th September, studying high school in Canada. So because the previous status is high school, Nashwan, it won't be valid for university, but I'm pretty sure if you ask the university, they'll say, yeah, it's fine, you can study. Nobody's going to deport you for studying your university studies, but it is what it is, weird regulations. Finally, Sosa, damn Reza, how do I know the international student-friendly provinces, as I will be making a worthwhile investment to move to another country where everyone fear mongers that CA has high cost of living. Finally, Sosa, keep to low-cost provinces and international student-friendly provinces. Again, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Atlantic. Okay? Or if you go to other provinces, you have to go to rural regions. If you go to rural regions, make sure they're part of the rural northern immigration pilot program. Okay? There's some of those in almost every province. If not, go to Saskatchewan, Manitoba, or Atlantic provinces, please. If you go to Ontario or BC or Alberta, go to the provinces, the towns which are part of the RINP. Okay, that's it. That's my suggestion. Abdul Rahman, and due to this, the market situation in real is really different than real markets. Yes, I agree, Abdul. Bhupinder, thanks for your detailed explanation. Thank you, Bhupinder, for raising that question. Thank you, Abdul, as well for exposing the truth. And that's what this program is about. It's the raw truth. And it's rated RT, folks. Our YouTube channel is officially rated RT. We recently received a rating from YouTube. RT for the raw truth. Okay. Finally, Sosa. I will do the due diligence and refine my skills, but just wondering why everything looks fear-mongering in Canada. Not that my plan has changed. I don't mind it, but it does bug me from time to time. No, it's just you have the rosy picture that is being promoted sometimes, and then you have reality where some people get upset over certain opportunities or the fact of converting to PR. However, I'll be very honest with you, and as I said, this is the raw truth. The reason many international students get stuck or are upset over job opportunities or PR paths is because they don't do their homework or research before applying. And then you cannot blame them because it's the agents overseas that are pushing certain programs or colleges or regions because they have the best commission from these places, right? They don't look at the next steps. They don't look at the next immigration path for international students. And that's why a lot of students get stuck. And we've seen in the past few months how agencies overseas take advantage of international students, right? So I think it's pretty easy if you reverse engineer and you have a plan for your program, your PR, your immigration, the location. I think it's not complicated. But again, the agents are pushing their own agendas. And the second point is that many people want to go to the big cities like Vancouver, like Toronto, right? Like Ottawa. But how will that help you for your PR? That's the key. And that's where I think there's a disconnect between the reality and what is being advertised or marketed out there. Nikki Patel. Hello, sir. Hello, Nikki. We have applied under the startup visa program in 2021. Still, we don't get any update from RCC. You should be receiving an update this year, Nikki, because I've been seeing many 2021 cases starting to get processed. Okay, so you're in the pipeline. You're going to get those letters. Make sure you're ready to answer those officers' questions. Samvar Kumar. Hello, Raza. How long will it take to process my file after biometrics are done? Biometrics was done on May 1st, 2023. Letter of support from PICAP. How long did my file for biometrics was done from my... Yeah, so if you done your PR recently, Somveer, it may take about a year and a half at least. If you're talking about work permit, then it depends on the region. But if you just applied recently, then and it depends on your acknowledgement letter of when they received your PR application. Based on that, you should add at least a year and a half for a decision on your PR, and then another 8 to 10 months at least for an actual PR if you're approved. Nikki, what can we expect? Yeah, we covered that. Mehvish, which province is best for living in your opinion? Manitoba, New Brunswick, or Nova Scotia? If it was me, I would go Nova Scotia. It's bigger in the Atlantic and it's really nice. Manitoba is good because it's very industrial, but it's so cold, right? So if you have family, sure. I like Manitoba. It's more happening. There's more economic activity opportunity in Manitoba. But in terms of quality of life, I think Nova Scotia is pretty good. So that would be my thing, right? So depending on what you're looking for. Nashwan Ali, hi Raza. If somebody applied for a startup visa in mid 2022, could you please share your thoughts about when this person receives the first communication to ask about business activities and PR? It's tough, Nashwan. So we try to estimate this and we say, yeah, it'll take a year and a half or 2 years. But what IRCC is doing is actually they're processing some of the 2022s and some of the 2020 and 2021s. So they're starting from the back end and the front end. So there are cases where 2022 they've requested IRCC for the business. They've sent the request letters, and then there's people who are in 2021 and they still haven't received it because they're starting from both ends. So if they're lucky, they'll get it soon. If not lucky, then next year, right? So there's no real way of calculating it. Bhupinder, I think the new minister should start watching your live sessions. He will know the actual position. Yeah, I mean, they're busy, Bhupinder. I mean, they need to process 500,000 PRs every year, PRs. They've got over 1 million temporary foreign workers and students inside the country at any time, and they're processing over millions of TRV applications in embassies overseas. It's huge. It's huge. They don't have time to really worry about the details, like, oh, well, international students, what will they do after they graduate? How long will it take them for PR? And, what's really happening in the employment market, the employers, the incubators, the startups, the businesses, the provincial nominee programs, and the embassies, because some embassies are very biased and unnecessarily are refusing applicants. Benny Koni, my name is Emmanuel, just joined the program now. Welcome, Benny Koni. This is a regularly scheduled YouTube live every Thursday, 11 a.m. local time here in Toronto. So feel free to come in anytime, any Thursday of the month. We're always here. Farouk Sheikh, my son wants to study supply chain management, 2 years diploma at MITT. I like MITT. I've visited them before. In Manitoba. Can I try this college for admission? Yes, I think it's a great program. You can be in the in-demand occupations, logistics, supply chain. MITT is a great program. Make sure you go into an internship co-op, and then you use either the skilled worker in Manitoba or the career pathway program for international to convert to PR. Okay? Make sure you've got the language and all that settled and all the eligibility. You're good to go. Let's start studying, folks. Let's press that button. Let's see. What do we have? Nikki Patel, thank you for your positive update. No problem, Nikki. Welcome. Finally, Sosa. Hey, yep, my friend had a bad experience with agency pushing colleges that he had no interest in. He'll just reach out to my respective CA university and file the necessary documents in IRCC portal for a visa. Yes, finally, Sosa. The reality is most agencies and even immigration consultants, so I'm not going to try to blame others and not blame us, or lawyers. Well, lawyers less because they don't do education much. But the core part of the business, okay, look at this, folks. It's over a $22 billion industry, the international student tuition market in Canada. So we're talking about summer camps, elementary, high school, language schools, pathway programs, colleges, and universities, undergraduate and graduate level. It's over a 20 or $22 billion industry here, just in Canada. So you could imagine that all the agents, all the stakeholders, they're only worried about their income, their revenue, the commissions. So if you go to an agent, if they have 3 schools, they'll push those 3 schools no matter what, right? If they have an agreement with 10 schools, that's great. If they have one with one, they'll push that because they get paid. Do you think the $100 or $50 they charge you to process your visa is their main income? It's the commission. The commission can range anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 for post-secondary. If it's elementary or high school, even higher. You can be looking at $3,000, $4,000, or some private schools even $5,000, right? So keep that in mind, folks. And if you want to spend your money, spend it wisely, as many of our elders have always guided us and advised us. I'm starting to sound like a life coaching show here, folks. Let's stick to immigration. So, Benny Coney, I'm on a budget. What program is best for me if I want to relocate? Benny Coney, Atlantic provinces, they have specific public colleges. Their tuition rates are around $10,000, and they have one of the best PR programs in all of Canada or the Atlantic provinces. That is my suggestion. Finally, Sosa, I'll utilize your 60-minute consultation before I start applying next year, but that's about it. I'll do my homework and prepare for all the scenarios and have lots of backup options open to me. Definitely, final. So I suggest if you do book a consultation with us, you ask me to bring in my my education team into the call with you, because they will be able to advise on specifics. I will handle the immigration side, and keep in mind that we actually have an international students. We have 2 international students working for us right now. So, which means that we have firsthand experience as well about, what you will experience. So that's always good. Alex Gomax. So far, according to you, Manitoba is the best investment immigration visa. Alex, I wouldn't say Manitoba PNP is the best. It's the shortest. It's one of the best. If you want to ask me which provincial entrepreneur program is the best, I can't tell you which one is the best. There's several that I like. Manitoba, because it's 6 months. I like Alberta Rural and BC Regional because they have the lowest investment. I like the Alberta Startup Visa Provincial Entrepreneur Program, which is the International from Graduate Program. That's what they call it. That's an entrepreneur program. It's one of the lowest investments, although you have higher incubator costs. Those would be my favorite. And then, to be honest with you, those are it. I don't have any other favorites. Let's see, what else do we have? Mehvish says, thank you. I'm also interested in Nova Scotia. It's beautiful. My profession is in demand there. Perfect, Mehvish. I love Nova Scotia. And if everyone knows, usually when we're talking about top PNPs, I always am promoting Nova Scotia, Manitoba, Saskatchewan a bit for sure, and recently more Alberta as well. Those are some of the great products. To be honest with you, Ontario is one of the worst provinces for PNP PRs. I'm dead serious, folks. Okay? Unless you're in the in-demand skills, occupations, and agricultural construction, which don't require points. Anything else, Ontario is the worst. Do not come to Ontario. Do not come to Toronto. If you do, go to the rural parts that are part of the rural northern immigration pilot program. Okay? Because if you come to Toronto, it is not easy to convert to PR. Okay? That's my suggestion. And I'm in Toronto, so I can criticize Toronto. I have that right. I'm paying taxes. No, I'm just kidding here, folks. Koigi Njoroge. What's the housing situation in Canada? How are people coping? In the big cities, there's a shortage of supply. Prices are increasing every day. Obviously, we help a lot of our clients in the major cities find accommodation, purchase property if required, if they have a work permit. But the prices are ridiculously high. Not ridiculous like Singapore, Dubai, Moscow, Tokyo, London, or New York, but for Canada, it's high. If you go rural, it's easy. Okay, so if you don't go to Toronto or Vancouver, you're in better situation. Okay, Abdul Rahman, salute. Thank you very much, Reza. Salute to punctuality and dedication towards people who need immigration knowledge. Thank you, Abdul, for the positive feedback. Rinkal Patel says, I applied for a startup visa in September 2021. Can I apply for work permit according to the new rules as I'm not an essential member? Rinkal, that is an excellent question. We just released a video earlier this week about the new startup visa open work permit. So make sure you watch that. It's not a live, it's a produced video. But the answer to your question is the new changes have not been rolled out yet. So the policy isn't implemented. It's been announced that it will change. We expect anywhere from September to November for this change to be implemented. And what happens is you will need a valid letter of support. So you have to go back to your consultant or your designated organization, ask them to reissue the letter of support. That will be valid for 6 months when the new program changes have been announced. So don't request it yet, and make sure you request it. And watch our video, because in that video, we tell you it's 100% possible to reissue letters of support. And if your designated organization says no, then they're just trying to, they're just acting lazy. Okay. Uh, Angel is here. Angel, how are you? Hi, Reza. Hi, back, Angel. Angel is one of my largest critics. So I feel like I'm a restaurant owner and I'm trying to get like a 1-star Michelin. And Angel is the one that comes in without telling anyone and orders all the food and then writes up an editorial in the newspaper whether it was good or bad. That's Angel. She's very detail oriented, and they read between the lines. That's what I feel like with Angel. Rinkal Patel. Everyone has their own avatar or their profile here, right? So that's what Angel is. So hopefully, Angel, you're not writing up something about me right now. Rinkal Patel, thank you so much for positive response. No problem, Rinkal. Koigi Nijoroge, do you mind giving me a breakdown of the rental prices? Koigi, I don't know all the rental all over. I just know Toronto. You want a rental in downtown condo, you're looking at $3,000 plus for a 1-bedroom. And if you're looking for 2 bedrooms, you're looking at $4,000 plus. It's crazy. You can look at basement suites outside of the core around $2,000. The further you go out, the cheaper it gets. So if you want a home, you're looking at $4,500 if you're in the North York or Toronto region, an actual house. But of course, you can rent rooms. There's international student type places, right? So it depends. Vancouver is even more expensive. Winnipeg, like Bhupinder knows, much cheaper. Nova Scotia, much cheaper. Montreal, much cheaper. But unfortunately, Montreal has the highest statistics of bed bugs in all of the country. FYI, I lived there for 2 years. That's how I know. But still, cheap cost of living, food. Toronto and Vancouver are freaking expensive, and they have the worst immigration programs. Okay, there you have it, folks. The raw truth, nothing but the truth. No censorship. I couldn't hold back. I'm sorry, Toronto. I'm sorry, Vancouver. The worst immigration programs, the highest cost of living, the highest housing, the worst of everything, the highest crime. Okay, but you're like, Reza, you live in Toronto and you grew up in Vancouver. What can I say, folks? It's always the blame game. Nobody wants to be stuck in these big cities, but we end up being in these big cities, right? I don't know why. It's just a thing. So I do apologize for criticizing Toronto and Vancouver. These are the places I've spent the most amount of my lifetime inside Canada. And I would love to go to Nova Scotia. But again, we have to see where we can make a living and where the family is, right? All these things are going to be taken into consideration. Okay. So Varun Joshi, hi back, Varun. Nice to see you, Varun. Benny Coney says, how do I book a one-on-one session with you? Benny Coney, you go to our online e-store, ingwe.ca/store. And we have the consultations. You can book them, pay. Everything is automated. Again, ingwe, ingwe.ca/store. Bhupinder, thank you for sharing your views on immigration. Your insights have provided valuable points to consider understanding of the issues. I appreciate your willingness to discuss and exchange opinions. Of course, that's why we're here, folks. I wish I had one of those big mics and then callers could call in. Like, caller number 2, what's your question today? And then they'll talk and it would be like a live radio show. That would have been cool. But, once I did a survey, nobody liked that. And it's a little bit technical to get that done. But that's kind of like the feeling I have when I'm talking to everyone on the comment section. Finally, Sosa, I have another question, Reza. How do I know that a university has good internship program for students and campus placements, recruitments for jobs? I could do all the research online. Since in real life, it's different than doing research online. A province like Nova Scotia functions different than Ontario or Toronto, which has huge wave of restrictions on job markets and internships. So financiers, keep in mind the most amount of co-op and internship programs are through colleges, not universities. Having said that, there are specific universities that have some unique internship co-op programs as well. So you have to be very picky and do your research as well. As long as you're in a co-op internship, that's good news. So that will give you advantages. And again, if you're in rural, I would say, or smaller provinces like Nova Scotia or Atlantic, You have higher chances no matter if you studied at a public college or university. Doing a 4-year bachelor's does not in any way help you to get a PR or a job. That's my suggestion to everyone. Doing a 4-year bachelor's degree at a public university in no way will facilitate your immigration, will give you any advantage points, except maybe a few additional points in express entry, and we all know that's pretty useless as an international student. So going to Alex Gomez's questions. Can one come on a visitor visa, then explore, then choose the investment program over there? Yes, if you get approved for a visitor visa, of course, that's one of the very important steps that many of us take. I'm keeping it casual today, like your look, Angel. Okay, nice. Yeah, so you didn't, I don't know if you were here, Angel, but the reason I'm going casual and I'm having a hair day is because of the new minister, right? So I thought, hey, let's change it up. They did a cabinet shuffle, right? So let's change up our look. I've got the little our federal parliament emblem on my shirt here, and yeah, that's the new look, let's say. And we've got a new minister, the Honorable Mark Miller, yes, from Quebec. So this is my new Mark Miller look, the new immigration minister. So thanks, Angel. Rinkal Patel, can I have your address and contact details for further approach? Rinkal, reach out to our team through our website, ingwe.ca, fill out a form, mention that you did discuss with us on YouTube, and tell us what your request is. We'd be happy to help. If anyone is looking for free advice or guidance, we're here on YouTube every Thursday, 11. If you email us looking for answers, to be honest with you, we're helping clients and we're busy with those applications. So that's why we dedicated this YouTube live session, okay? So keep that in mind. Ed, what PNP do you recommend for international students aging 35 and above and at IT and digital marketing profession? Manitoba is good because you don't have age restrictions. Saskatchewan is good, and I still think Atlantic is good. I still think you should stay away from BC and Ontario. Alberta is not bad, but Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Atlantic are my favorite three. And I would say even Manitoba and Saskatchewan even more, maybe even Manitoba. But you're still in line in terms of age, Ed, in terms of all these provinces. So, and some of them have no age restrictions, right? I would say Atlantic is good because you have the Atlantic Immigration Program, you have the PNPs, and you have the federal programs. But some of these PNPs like Manitoba and Saskatchewan are excellent too for international students. That's what I think. Mehvish, I hope you know that you have an amazingly positive personality, maybe because you're helping others out. Mehvish, thanks. I appreciate the positive feedback. I think it's because I drink green tea in the morning. And green tea has caffeine. So maybe that's why I get hyper and so excited. I don't know. Or it's the positive vibe from the audience members and the participants like you, Mehvish, Bhupinder, finally Sosa, Alex, Angel, of course, Safa, Saleh, Rinkal, Benikoni, and of course, everyone who's joined us today. So Nikki Patel. So that's what I like. It's the positive energy you guys are giving me. I'm trying to return the favor. So let's see what Bhupinder says. You give all views in black and white. So we're back black and white today. That's a good point, Bhupinder. Thank you. Soar like an eagle. Hi, Reza. Can someone apply for a 1-year in-demand job program without a PGWP and still be granted a PR? Okay, so can somebody apply for 1 year in-demand job program? Okay, well, you need a work permit, right? So you need an LMIA or LMI exempt work permit. Soar like an eagle, right? And Soar like an eagle is the name of the person who's asking this. Just out of FYI, folks. So you can't apply and be nominated for PR unless you go into overseas or foreign skilled worker stream, like let's say Manitoba. Then it's a points-based system. Then it's very difficult. Literally, you need 611 to 670 points to be actually invited, and it's not easy. So in theory, yes, but in application, so it's, you have to gain enough points according to the PNP. So the technical answer is yes. The reality is it's not going to be as easy for everyone. Angel, one good news is one of my friends, SUV applicants, spouse got an 18-month auto renew open work permit, the opt-in e-service. That's perfect. But one question, Angel, one of my friends, SUV applicant spouse, got an 18-month auto. So I'm assuming, Angel, that your friend's spouse is an international student who's on a postgraduate work permit, like they've graduated, because otherwise you don't get a auto renewal, right? You need to have a postgraduate work permit. So that's good news, right? Nothing to do with startup visa, obviously, but still good news. And if we're sharing good news, folks, that's what we want. Karanbir Shah, hi Reza. This Manitoba entrepreneurship program can be suitable plan B for startup program. Potentially, if you're in Manitoba, or maybe you were designated by a Manitoba incubator like MTA or North Forge, that could show that that was your true intention. If you're there already, perfect. I would say it is. But again, you have to keep in mind that you can't have two PR programs, and they're not going to nominate you if you already have a PR. They're not going to invite you for a work permit if you already have a PR there, right? But you could have everything in place already, right? You could have everything in place in terms of the business plan, your exploratory trip. So as soon as anything goes wrong, if it goes wrong with another program, you can apply and put your expression of interest in there, okay? Benny Konya, I'm into tech. I just checked your website and I noticed that it's not secured and doesn't load fast. I could assist you with it. Benny Konya, yeah, I mean, well, it is, I think it is secured. We're paying a secure lock, I believe we have. It is a bit slow because of the custom programming that was done. So yeah, you're right. It is a bit slow. Finally, Sosa. So if I choose PG postgraduate diploma for my higher education in Nova Scotia province, since you said doing a bachelor's has less effect on RCC scoring system, will it have the same effect as choosing a PG diploma? Whatever you do a 2-year program. Finally, Sosa. That's my advice to you. Don't do a 1-year, do a 2-year. Okay. You could do a 1 year plus 1 year, but I always recommend 2 years. And yes, it's if you do a 2-year in an Manitoba in a college, even in any province, especially in Nova Scotia or rural areas of other parts of the province, you have a way better chance of wasting less money and time to get your PR. And when you got your PR, get a student loan, study whatever you want at 1/100th of the cost. Hello Developer, which is the name of the person who's asking this. Are Manitoba, Saskatoon, or Atlantic Province good for IT people? I'm not sure, Hello Developer. It's a tough one. There are Statistics Canada has statistics on the knock code and how many job opportunities there are in each province. So each province has their own reports and Statistics Canada. So you could technically dive deep into that and do an analysis, but I can't, I don't have that detailed analysis. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for that. Angel, no, he wasn't an open work permit as a spouse of an SUV applicant. Interesting, Angel. That's the first one I've heard, because we have a lot of startups as well that I advise on. So an open work permit renewal for an open work permit of a spousal open, an automatic one. That's pretty interesting. So it could be, Angel, we could be assuming here that they're trickling out some programs right now for spousal open work permits that are, so that's interesting. That's the first one I've heard. So thank you for letting us know, Angel. Engineer Hamza Soya, what are my options? If my express entry profile got rejected, my points are 365, as cutoff is around 460 these days. Can I get a PNP, please, guide? If you find an employer to sponsor and hire you, yes, you could potentially gain 600 bonus points through a provincial nomination certificate that could be linked to your valid express entry profile. Ed, how much liquid cash do we need to qualify a Manitoba entrepreneur visa? You need to show the investment amount in liquid funds. So if you're investing 250,000 more or 150,000 if you're in the rural regions. The net worth requirement, it can be assets, fixed assets, but the liquidity has to be there. Angel, the SUV applicant is on closed work permit and the spouse got an opt-in email and today he got his approval for 18-month extension from the date his original spouse open work permit expires. That's interesting. He got an approval for 18-month extension from his original spouse open work permit. Can you explain that, Angel, a little bit? So he got his approval for 18 months extension from the date his original spouse open work permit expires. So who has the startup visa closed work permit? And then the spouse is he or she, and then is the spouse's closed work permit a 1 year, a 2 year, or 3 year, right? And then I will understand more about what the information you're providing us today. Engineer Hamza Soel, can I bring my educational certificate when I'm visiting Canada on visitor visa? Sure. Have a digital version on your laptop. The original, I don't think, will be very significant. Kogi Nijuroge, is the difficulty to transition into the job market dependent on the industry, or is it the same across all industries sectors? Transition into the dependent. Yeah, it depends on industry and location. And it depends on your language ability. If somebody cannot communicate properly in English or French, they will have a tough time no matter where or what job. But the location and then the industry, those are two things, plus your language ability. I think those are the three things you should look at. Finally, Sosa, thank you, Reza, for advices are helping as always. I know what to look for in the province and how to be well prepared for my future career. Thank you again. No problem. Finally, Sosa, thanks for the positive feedback. Angel, wife has closed work permit 1 year. Interesting. This is the first case I've heard like that, Angel. So startup visa, a closed work permit for 1 year, but he got an approval for 18 months extension from the date of the original spouse. Wow, that's crazy. You're like the first case that has said that. Like, literally, I haven't heard any of that, but it could be brand new. Could be that it's trickling, right? So that's great. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And spouse also has an open work permit for 1 year. He got an email saying he will get 18 months if he enable an opt-in option. So you mean the closed work permit holder is also getting an open work permit? Is that? I will email you this screenshot. Yeah, that'd be cool, Angel. This is great. Thank you for sharing. But just tell me, so the spouse, the startup visa closed work permit is getting an option to do an open work permit too. That's what you mean. Sahil Trehan, I applied for a startup visa in September. When can I expect a PR? Sahil, that's a tough question, but you could be getting processed within this year. And if you're approved, sometime second half of next year, you may have your confirmation of PR. But it depends. You could get an IRCC request letter today, tomorrow, and it would take within 3, 4, 5, 6 months to finalize a decision. Then maybe 6 or 8 months or 10 months later, you will get a PR. But again, it depends on when the IRCC officer will request and when you've received the permanent file number for your PR application. Kogi Nigorjur, is it a requirement by law to have a Canadian certificate in order to be employed? Nope. Only if you're in specific occupations, you need certain licensing. But 90% of non-regulated, non-licensed occupations don't need a Canadian certification. No such thing. Engineer Hamza Soel, can I immigrate to Canada if I incorporate my LLC company in Canada, operate from my home country, and keep on filing taxes in Canada? In that case, can I apply for work permit for PR? You have to meet certain eligibility, Hamza. You could do an intra-company transfer. You could do an entrepreneur program. There's a million programs. You have to meet the eligibility. And yes, if you meet the eligibility of the program, you can apply. Angel, it was valid only from 7th to 28th June. No, the applicant till close work permit. It's only the spouse. Okay. This is interesting, Angel. So the spouses of closed work permit holders are getting extended. So it could be that it's beyond startup visa. So it could be other closed work permit holders. Who knows, right? Maybe the economic category, immigration, which is obviously startup visa is one of them. So this is excellent, Angel. Thank you for sharing that information. I will let our team know too. Send me a screenshot if you can. That'll be amazing. Thank you for bringing it. And that's what we're here for, folks. We want to exchange information. There's things that we don't know that you're sharing with us. And sometimes we find out from other people and we share with you. Ed, thanks for your feedback. Actually, I'm considering Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, but we'll take a deeper look in Saskatchewan, Manitoba. I would say, Ed, if you're looking at lifestyle, stick to Nova Scotia. Don't even bother with Manitoba, Saskatchewan, although I like Manitoba. Okay. And Saskatchewan, I've always been very upfront with everyone. Amazing for immigration, but zero for lifestyle. I've had Canadian friends who studied there and had left because it was too depressing. No offense, people are wonderful, but definitely not for everyone, right? It's kind of like having fish flavored ice cream. I don't think everyone will enjoy it. That's how I compare Saskatchewan. But anyways, the people are amazing in these provinces because they're so nice. But in terms of lifestyle, the cold weather and all that, for me it's a bit too much. Bhupinder, it's a long session today. Okay, Bhupinder, we're cutting short everything, folks. Bhupinder is my producer. He's like the executive producer. He gave us the green light. It's done. We're here next Thursday. Thank you, Bhupinder. Ed, I can sacrifice lifestyle for long-term goal. Laughing out loud. Thanks again. No problem, Ed. Thanks, Angel, for bringing to our attention, folks, that certain closed work permit spouses who are in open work permits are receiving automatic 18-month extensions. That's amazing. Thank you, Bhupinder. Thank you, finally, Sosa. Take care as well. Blessings. Engineer Hamza, which province are best for logistics? Manitoba and Atlantic. And warehousing. Yes, those are the two. Trust me. Angel, what is the multi-factor authentication on GC key? It's multi-factor authentication, right? So if you set that up, they may, I don't know if it's a text or an app to validate you when you want to log in. I shared a screenshot of original email from RC0. Thank you. I will take a look at it and reply. Thank you, everyone. Next Thursday, we're back here answering all of your questions and comments, and obviously getting a lot of information. So you exchange information with us, we exchange, and this becomes a platform to help each other out. Thanks for the positive feedback for everyone. Goodbye, good night, good morning, good evening. See you next week on our YouTube Live. Bye-bye now.